24. First item on the business is the call to order. Wouldn't you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, in here. Okay. Yep. Commissioner Humboldt? Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
Commissioner Stevenson? Chair Kenny?
Here.
Commissioner Trucks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn?
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, the Historic District Commission can take action to approve the June 5th agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Moving on to the conflict of interest. At this time, the chair will ask if there are any members with a conflict of interest on the approved agenda. Are there any conflict of interest? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. At this time, the Historic District Commission can take action to approve the May 1st meeting minutes, which you all have in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment. Is there any public comment on agenda-related items today? Hearing none, I'll move on to new business. We have a guest speaker today, Madeline Lamb from the Johnson Sign Company. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa, for inviting me. Absolutely. Thank you all for your time.
I just turned it on.
Nope, it's green now.
Okay. All right. There we go.
So this presentation I'm going to give, I initially gave to the Planning and Zoning Commission a few months ago, and Teresa invited me back to present it for you folks as well. It has had a few edits, including the title, which is slightly spicier, but I think overall it's the same message. So I'm not a practiced public speaker, and so I will do a lot of breaking the cardinal rule of PowerPoint presentations and reading my slides directly, so please forgive me for that. So the new title of my presentation is Why Restrict Signs? Sign Ordinances, Streetscape Context, Aesthetics, and Effectiveness. Uh-oh. Almost all signs are for wayfinding, for finding your way towards a point of interest, and for knowing when you've arrived. Manistee has a unique character, a sense of place, and its signs help to say there's a there, and it's worth experiencing. Signs provide a lot of valuable information. They attract, they inform, they invite to experience. So why restrict signs? Hey, look, so pretty, no signs. This certainly is beautiful, but there's nothing to do here and nowhere to stop, even if there were. This is a place for driving through, not going to. In contexts like this, there's no need for signs. Actually, I doctored that last photo. There are signs here too, but signs can get out of hand, right? This photo is scary. Who would want their city's roads ruined like this by signs? Well, as you might have guessed by how close together the electric poles are, this is a fake photo. But it's a frequently used photo when people are advocating to restrict signage, so that's why I'm using it. This is this exact same location as the previous photo, but this is what it actually looks like. So signscapes like this one emerge organically from the context of businesses positioned along high-speed traffic corridors, also known as stroads. The speed limit here is 50 miles per hour. businesses in this context require this kind of signage to attract customers and revenue. A restrictive sign ordinance would not solve the Strode problem. I'm going to pause here because when I get presented to the planning and zoning, the number one question was, what is a Strode? It's kind of a new term, but we all know what it is. The reason it got a word finally is because Dort Highway here is a Strode. There's Strodes everywhere in North America, and whereas a road gets you from one place to another, it's for traveling at high speed. A street has destinations. It has homes, it has businesses. And when you combine the two, you get this Frankenstein's monster of a streetscape that has now been called a Strode, which is a great thing to finally have a name for. But so what it is high speed, but people are turning in and out all the time. There's big seas of parking lots, and businesses are far apart because of the need for so much parking. So nobody walks there, everybody drives there. If you're driving at 50 miles per hour, you need a big sign. Anyway, I don't have a slide for that yet, but yes?
Actually, a comment. You
Yes?
you started with a there,
Uh-huh.
which is like an excellent thing that James Kunstler said in one of his books. And I think he describes this as the geography of nowhere, because you see this everywhere, but it doesn't tell you where it is, right? I mean, you see the same image anywhere.
Yes.
I just want to know that.
Yeah.
There's
I was not aware of the origin of that
Yeah.
comment, of that line. I knew I was cryptically stealing it from somewhere, but I will write down the name of that book before we go.
Okay, cool.
I'll share it. Thank you. But yes, these are everywhere, and this is Dort Highway, just outside of Flint, Michigan, but it could be anywhere in North America, and that's kind of the nature of Strodes. And when people think of the worst case scenario for a signscape, this is what they think of. But this is not sign's fault. This is the argument I'm aiming to make with this presentation. This photo is similarly often used to illustrate the dangers of signs. But what are we really looking at here? What is the context? Is signage a blight on the landscape, or is it a necessary feature in the context of a commercial district that's situated on a road with average speeds over 70 miles per hour? In the sign industry, we calculate the speed of travel and the viewing distance to determine the ideal size and height for a sign in order for it to be effective at inviting people to stop. Along a 50-mile-per-hour Strode, a sign needs to be 8 feet wide in order to be seen in time to turn. And if you're on foot, the signs along a 50-mile-per-hour road seem gigantic and just not even on a human scale. But when you're driving by, they're just big enough to read. When inviting people to exit the freeway to fuel up, your sign better be 16 feet wide and on an 80-foot pole, or else no one is ever going to be able to see it in time to stop safely. So the context is what dictates the sign type. In some contexts, a small sign is best, and in other contexts, you need a 20-foot cabinet on an 80-foot pole. The type of sign is a function of the context. Elements such as design, materials, construction, and lighting are just the means of creative expression that businesses use to craft the aesthetic of their invitation. The combination of the context of the streetscape and the character of the businesses therein combine to determine the character of both the signs and the character of the street. Restrictions on signs do not solve issues of unsavory businesses, and they do not solve issues of context. Worse, extreme restrictions make it difficult for businesses to attract customers or cultivate a thriving economy. But signs can be ugly. What's the alternative? One alternative is to ban signs or to implement restrictions that render businesses effectively invisible. Businesses need signs to invite customers, to bring in the revenue that keeps a community healthy. A lack of signs says pass us by. Businesses, government, and community, a thriving economy is in everyone's best interest. The truth is that signage styles emerge from the necessities of the context in which they are situated. Looking at historic context makes this clear. Beautiful Manistee in the 1800s there. So prior to the automobile, eye-level signs in shop windows invited pedestrians and other passers-by to stop and browse. The photo on the left is 1910-ish, 1905. With the advent of automobiles, large overhead projecting signs needed to be seen from farther away by people traveling at higher speeds in cars. Signs also needed to be seen over the cars parked on the street that blocked the views of shop windows. So you can see here in the 1940s, probably, the signage has changed, and it's because the context of the street has changed. This photo of River Street is from a recent year. The streetscape and signscape are still predominantly shaped by automobile dominance of the street. More than rules or any other factor, it's the presence of cars and their speed that creates the context for the forms of signage. Articles exist showing pictures of stroads and freeway exit commercial zones and threaten that if you're not careful, signs are what could turn your quaint downtown into the nightmarish doctored photo of Dort Highway. But they won't, and if you want to ensure that, then the answer is more in the streetscape and traffic design than in the sign ordinance. The signs in this business district suit the context. Some people think they don't like signs, but it's probable, but what they actually don't like is what happens to a landscape when every place is optimized to be experienced from inside a car. The way to make your town resemble this idyllic photo is not to restrict signs, it's to restrict cars. So don't strangle your economy with restrictions that ignore the reality of your streetscape context. Pedestrian zones, traffic calming, and road design speed reduction, these are the ways to make your town more inviting and human scale without strangling your economy. Change is inevitable, technology evolves, everyone adapts. Today's innovation becomes tomorrow's nostalgia. The future of signage is, as it ever was, an invitation to experience and a way to find your way. All of these signs in Manistee are what let people know that there's things to do here, even simple things. So I know the streetscape is being currently redesigned. So when Teresa initially asked me to do a presentation about signage, my first thought was, well, I can, show off some new lighting techniques and new technology and that kind of thing. But then I was inspired to fuse a presentation about signage with one of my favorite personal issues, which is pedestrian-friendly design. And so that was the inspiration for this presentation, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is any questions? All right.
I think pedestrian-friendly signage is really important for our downtown because it's, 25 miles an hour. It's very walkable. But do you have any suggestions for the guidelines? You use our signage guidelines probably on a regular basis because everybody goes to Johnson Sign Company for their signage in the area. So have you encountered anything in our guidelines that you would like to see us revisit?
I think that the way, as terms of how they're written, I don't know, because like we had to get a special waiver for the Sun Shack, which I still haven't seen it lit up yet. I don't know if she just doesn't flip the switch on at night, but I can't. I'm trying to get a picture, and I never got it on when I'm there at night. But I think that like allowing the aesthetic of the town to evolve in a natural way. It doesn't if you look, I didn't include pictures from like the 50s and 60s in Manistee, but it was a lot of bright lights and, big gaudy signage. That's part of Manistee's history too. And even the Victorian stuff, Tom Amor tells me about the argument he had over what color to paint the Vogue sign. And that he was so mad that you made him go maroon when he knows the Victorians or would have chosen red, because we only see black and white pictures of these times.
Uh-huh.
But the Victorian era was an extremely colorful time, and just like big, loud, contrasting colors all over the place. And I think the Victorians would have loved like LED halo lighting and all of the technology that we have to create like an after dark atmosphere in particular. The way the sign ordinance is written, it kind of discourages internal illumination. And we can build a great sign that we just have a gooseneck spot light fixture on a sign that will look nice, but it's not going to have the cool atmospheric quality that we can achieve with internal illumination and various techniques. So I think the Victorians would have loved that. I think they would have loved it in the 50s. In terms of the overall aesthetic that you guys are trying to achieve with the whole guidelines, I guess I think you guys are doing great in terms of being pretty permissive in terms of the style and how the businesses express themselves.
It's a zoning overlay. It's
Aesthetic,
the ordinance.
but yeah, when a business makes a sign, they're expressing the personality of their business in their sign. And when that's limited, it's limiting how much they can show off the personality of their business. And one of the things I tried to say in my presentation was how the streetscape is shaped by a combination of like the personalities of the businesses and the way the actual streetscape is designed. But I think you guys are doing a good job of kind of being open to
I like open better.
some new technology. Yeah, you guys, you seem to be open to things that are well thought out and well designed, and so I think that's great. But I still think that the number one thing that could be done make the city more historic is to get rid of the street parking. But that's outside of my professional interests. So
I think it was there in that 1940s photo and even the 1910 photo. So
well, there was a street car, which is a little different.
there was a wagon. It was
Yeah.
parked.
There was a wagon, yeah, there was a wagon, but as an avid walker, I like the pedestrian areas. But anyway, yeah, I think you guys are doing great. So
Thanks,
for the
Madeline.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any more questions for Madeline?
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you.
Great. Moving on to old business, we have 457 River Street. The Outsider is first on the agenda.
Yes, so unfortunately, John is not able to be here tonight, or today. I did want to talk about it just a little bit. I told him that we would. So with the outsider in your packet, hopefully everybody had a chance to review it, but I'd like you to turn to the page that has exterior paint color. This is the page right here, what it looks like. So I brought up what was in the packet before for the patio and the paint color. He actually did not give us a paint color before when it was approved. As you can see, this old one didn't have the patio barrier wood tone or the facade, that red and that chestnut brown. So it was never in here, and those are the two colors that he would like to have approved. And also, he needs to have his, I believe it's his certificate of appropriateness, it's expired. So he needs to have that, he did submit the application, everything. So part of the big discussion was also the patio barriers. And as you can see, this is what was originally presented. That was the old picture, and in your packet, he has presented what it is looking like now. And he didn't foresee that he would be using it all year round, and that was part of the change and the part of the process that just kind of developed, that he was using it for hot chocolate, he was using it for the sleigh bell, he was using it for October when people were out here for the trick-or-treating with the kids and just those types of things. So I think he's looking for an okay with the look and the style that he's now kind of evolved with, and also the two colors. And just wanted to hear from you, and if it's something that you just want to wait until he can be here, he will be here, and we could not table it, but what do I want to say, postpone it until next time, we could, so.
Do we have any idea where each color goes?
Right here, this is where he's going to put on the patio on what is here, the wood structure that was going to be there. Like the picnic tables, the squared in,
Like the
plywood?
yeah, the plywood and, yeah. Let me see what page that would be on. It's right here, the page right before. Yep, this page. The page right before that where the colors were. There he shows the hot food and drink, the outsider, and all that's the plywood and a clear cover over the top to prevent rain, snow. And now he'd like to stain it.
I think the colors make good sense with the rest of the design space. And it's nice to see him, I didn't sense it was finished, you know? And
Right.
so it's nice to know that he does have a plan for finishing it. Should we do it as, I guess, should we do it as a motion to approve an extension and a motion to approve the colors, or how should we do that?
I don't know. Well, if we do the extension, we also approved an awning to be installed in the building, which hasn't been done, and so I was kind of wondering if he still had planned on putting the awning up.
I would prefer to just wait on this until he can show up where we can ask these questions that we have.
Sure, we could postpone it.
Yeah, before we give any approval.
Sure. And I told him that up front, that we might just have to do that. So we've been communicating through email, so.
Is that a motion to postpone?
Yes, it is.
Is there support? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Could I have you, give me the
motion?
The motion, yeah.
I'd move that we just postpone this until the next meeting so we can ask the questions that we have.
Is there a discussion?
Angie did support. Is there any more discussion?
Yeah. Could we also get maybe an image of what that awning proposal looked like? Because I don't remember it, and it's not with these materials.
I have it, or it's in his previous application, so
Yep, I will
We
send
can-
that with
yeah.
the packet for next month. Yep.
Roll call vote? Did we do a roll call vote? Not yet. Are we done with discussion?
I am,
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Taylor,
yes.
Commissioner Trucks,
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn,
Yes.
Chair Kenny.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 435 River Street, Matthewson's building.
Yes, his application I have denied. There was no payment with the application, and also he has still failed to have a business registration done. So hopefully he just doesn't put up a sign. He has put up a light, so the next he might possibly be putting up a sign, and then I will have to write a letter and then possibly enforce that with a ticket. So, he knows this by rejection of the business application, and also I did talk to him. So that's where we're at with that.
Thank you. Hopefully he'll comply. Moving on to 390 River Street.
Yes, this
This is
is
the Heritage Square building, which is actually what the River Street Marketplace now.
Correct.
correct, yes. So I did reference some old pictures. Angie Quinn had requested that in the packet that I attach a few reference old pictures. So if you want to turn to, and as you will see, right after where you see this page, these are the pictures that you're going to be looking for. This is a reference of what it used to look like. And Robert's here to discuss that.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't look like that anymore.
No, but they wanted to see what it looked like
Yeah.
before, so that's why I put it in the packet as a reference.
Gotcha.
Yep. And also, he has given you a piece of paper with the plans in front of him. This is for the back part
Well, there's
of
a-
the building.
There's a packet in between that and that, the one from last month.
Yep, that's where, all of this information's in there. Yep, with the,
With
all of that. Yep.
We had an awning that was metal that was 8 feet out and 11 feet up, and it was badly deteriorated. They had punched through the brick veneer of the building and then punched through the block and then fastened the I-beams. They welded L brackets to them, and then the L brackets were bolted to wooden beams. So it wasn't possible to remove the I-beams without tearing the whole front of the building off. So we cut them off with plasma torches as close as we could get to the front of the building. And that's when we discovered that the front of the outside of the building is not secure from the inside. We had animals get in. When they did some of the heating ducts over the windows, they left open voids. So I got to evict a squirrel one day. He was pretty feisty. Birds, things of that nature. So we've used some spray foam and some barriers to brick that up. But the way they did it is they removed several courses of the brick veneer that was original to the building, and then they tried to kind of patch in around the I-beams with some different brick, and it's not flush with the original brick, and it's not the right size. And I don't really know what they used for mortar, but it's crumbling and it's not holding. And they didn't even go all the way up in the gap. So originally I just wanted to try to match the brick that was there and just make it a nice flat veneer and then a nice awning. And we're just not going to be able to do that. I can't find the brick that's original to the building. A lot of the brick around that is really soft, and you can crumble it with your fingers, especially the tops of the row right beneath where they patched in. It's been a lot of water has sat on that brick because the metal awning was actually somehow it tilted back towards the building. So when water would collect, it would sit up against the brick, and brick being porous, eventually it began to absorb water. And when we tore that out, when we took the metal down, a lot of brick came with it. So the best course of action now to seal that up and make it look nice, along with all the powder coated metal flashing that they put up that's no longer powder coated, I think is to use a smart siding. It's called LP Smart Side. It's basically like Trex decking. It's a synthetic material. It doesn't fade in the UV. It's waterproof, And it'll last a long time as long as it's maintained with flashing and good caulking. And to use that to cover up that row from the tops of the windows up to a little bit past where the patched in area is. There's several examples of that having been done directly across the street from Snyder's Shoes is one of them, although theirs is much taller than mine. Piping Plover has a similar facade, although they have another piece in front of it. But there's, up and down the street, you can see very similar things. In the picture, the wood grain is highly exaggerated. You probably wouldn't even be able to see it unless you were directly underneath it looking up. It's got a bit of a texture to it, but it's not, you're not fooling anybody. It's not wood, you know. They're not trying to make you think it's wood. It just has a texture. Well, honestly, I don't know why it has a texture. It could be smooth, but that would be the, you know, the thing to make the front of the building weatherproof and just the best option, I think. And then that also gives us, when we're framing that out, that gives us a chance to put in reinforcement points for where the awning brackets would attach to, so that we're not just drilling into a brick facade and hoping that there's block behind it. So that's part one.
So I just want to clarify, it's the awning proposal, this right here that you had sent me, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it had the picture of the brackets that are
Yep.
being welded by a almost Manistee citizen who's kind of on the edge of town. I believe in the original proposal too, I misused a word. I believe I said corrugated metal for the awning, and what I meant to say was standing seam, like what you would see like on a house on a metal roof where it's flat with the little seams where the squares overlap and lock down. Corrugated implies like that, like barn metal, like rounded. No, we don't want to do that. No. And
So we're looking at figure 3, is that what he's?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
good. I'm gonna make sure.
Yep.
The
That's
applic-
corrugated metal.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
Yeah,
not
figure
standing
3.
seam.
yeah, it is.
There's no standing seam in this packet, I see.
Yeah, this is not, okay. We're missing something. I should have come to the office. I'm sorry.
And then I supplied them with some old pictures.
Yeah.
Yep, that, and
Yeah.
then, yeah, I think that was it, maybe?
The
Yeah,
awning proposal states 5 foot wide.
4
And
foot.
it says 4 by 4 by 5.
Right.
But the application says it's 80 foot long.
The
So
4 by
what-
4 by 5 is 4 foot down, 4 foot out, and then a squared plus b squared is c squared.
Will it span the entire building?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually 79 feet 8 and 7/8 inches or something.
Is there a reason why you can't recreate it as a flat awning like it was?
The I-beams are not, they weren't in line. When we got up there and looked down the top of the, should I be on the microphone, sorry. When we got up there and looked down the top of the awning, it was like a roller coaster. Some of them had tilted back towards the building. The two ends had cantilevered down slightly. And we took a laser up there to make sure it wasn't, you know, just an optical illusion. And then to make it worse, the I-beams only came out 6 feet. And then they had like these little extensions bolted to the ends of them to get to the end of the canopy. And that was not the same material as the I-beams, and so many of those were disfigured and deformed. And I just didn't, once we got into it, I just did not think there was any way to save that canopy.
So you
But
need,
can you build a new one?
I think that's ultimately the question. It's a 1957 Woolworths that had a flat canopy across the entire
Right.
front when it was built. And
I-
we approved the removal of the existing canopy because there was a
Right.
danger.
Right.
With the understanding that you were coming back to offer us basically the approval then of how you were replacing it.
Correct.
And I guess I assumed in kind. You know, it would be a similar thing to what came off because that's what's appropriate for that building.
I've not seen any pictures of the building when it was built with that awning?
There's one.
Is there?
It's actually on the city's page
Oh.
itself, in the historic district, the actual survey, there's a 1957 photo of it.
Okay.
Do we,
It's just odd because the craftsmanship, the way that those beams were put in, doesn't match anything else in the building. The rest of the building's very, very well built, very meticulous, great joinery, you know, and then to just smash weird, awkward holes through the block and stuff these I-beams in there, it's just, maybe it was just a subcontractor or something, I don't know.
do we have any pictures of the building with, other than that flat awning?
No, and
Was there something there before?
I think it's always had a flat awning. In the photos that Johnson Sign just showed, I noticed the flat awning in her historic photos.
Yeah.
And then these
saw
are
a
the
corner of one
pictures
of them.
that I had too.
And those are more recent.
Yeah,
but-
these are more
but-
recent, sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
I just wondered if it's always been a flat awning, or,
Yes.
That's the style. It's
Yes.
modern, so, yeah. But having a shorter, I guess a milder slope
Right.
on the proposal helps.
I don't want it to go 8 feet out. I mean, that awning was about 6 inches away from the lamppost, to the point where they had to move the brackets for where they hung the flowers, because it would hit the awning. And it just seemed really out of proportion, I don't know, to me.
But when I'm talking about slope, what you're proposing is this, and what we're suggesting is this.
Okay,
Okay, if this is the side of the building. So what
Right.
you're proposing is this. What we're suggesting is it should still work as what visually is a flat awning across the front of the building.
okay. Other than the theater, then that will be the only flat awning downtown.
And the theater is also from that same general time period, so that makes sense.
Well, I just, as someone who's done construction for a long time, I just detest flat roofs and flat awnings because it's snow load and water always wins.
Right, so that's why.
I mean, I'd be happy to take the angle down. I'd have to look at the design and go over it to make sure that it would be strong enough, but I mean, we're doing 2-inch square stock welded every 24 inches on center. I can't imagine that wouldn't hold up, even if we had a very flat, like if we went 4 feet out but only 2 feet up. That would give you a slope of, what, like a 412 slope? It would be a very thin slope.
Have you worked with flat roofs before?
I flat roofed all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no problem with that if they're designed properly.
Yeah, that's the if, and if you maintain them. Like I just got done, I was in the basement taking care of water from this weekend because the flat roof we have, you know, there's 846 corners and drains and valleys and flashing and, ugh.
And just about every building on River Street has
Oh,
a
yeah.
flat roof.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes. That's how you built commercial buildings in the 19th century and in the.
Sorry.
so the awning that you propose looks like from this picture would match up with the building next door?
It would be similar, but I propose to not do a light frame and a fabric.
No, but I mean the style.
Yes.
Would be.
Yeah,
Would,
yes, that was the original proposal, was basically a 45-degree angle at each corner, 4 feet out, 4 feet up. We can diminish the 4 feet up. That's not a problem to me. The 4 feet out is important because when we took that 8-foot awning off, the two vendors that are in the very front were like, holy cow, it's 100 degrees in here with all the sun coming in. So we need something to stop the sun coming in and provide some relief for people walking along the street. I just don't know that we need something that, can double as a helipad or something.
And I would like to point out the awning next door is fabric,
Right, yeah,
not
right,
corrugated aluminum or
right.
standing metal. seam.
Standing seam, yeah.
Teresa, is there any, other zoning concerns regarding how far something comes out from one of the existing
Yes.
buildings? So
Yeah.
what's the limit?
I don't know. I'd have to look into it for you.
8, if it was so close to the light post, I mean, it makes sense to go back. I don't know that
Right.
we need to go back to 4. 4 seems skinny
Yeah.
for the building and the style. So I don't know if there's a legal compromise where you
Right.
could go 6 or something like that.
Right,
But
and
that
then also
would help
I'd
to-
probably ask Jerry, the building inspector too. He would know that too, and then with the snow load and all of that. Yep. Yeah, but I can get that to you.
I don't think the building is shanty chic.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, their application, shanty chic. So,
Shanty chic.
It's what it says above the one illustration.
yeah, on one of yours.
Oh,
it says
I was looking for a picture of what we wanted to do on the inside with the River Street, more of a nautical theme, although it does have the wrong kind of metal, but to duplicate in a small sense, the outside awning over each doorway of each store in the building itself. Shanty chic. No, that's not a term I would normally use.
So I'm still a little confused as to how it's going to look, as far as the proposed 80-foot wide. And then you just mentioned over each doorway, because there's only one
No,
entrance.
on the inside of the building, the doorway to each store.
Oh, you're gonna do that. The inside of the building is
Right.
We don't-
not part of.
But I'm saying
our-
that's where the shanty chic, why I found a picture on the inside.
Got it.
And
The standing seam is better than in this application, the metal for the awning is better because there are flashings that are manufactured to go with it, that work with it, because we're going to have to waterproof that up against the side of the building versus, well, like Glick's, for example, their building face was fine, so they could just attach an awning to it and you're fine. You know, you understand what kind of the difference is there.
I'm also concerned about your desire to paint the natural brick. Our guidelines state that there will be no painting of natural brick. I don't know if you're familiar with that or.
My
if you're
building is
aware.
the only one on either side of my block that isn't painted.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Some of that happened before it became a historic district, and once it happens, it can damage the brick, so
Well, the bricks are
I didn't-
pretty damaged.
the historic guidance, basically, nationally is you don't paint brick if it's not already painted. So that's a given. You'll find that in any.
Well, I mean, yes, I'm not gonna go and buy a bucket of paint at the dollar store or something. I mean, I'm gonna use an appropriate exterior paint with a high solids content that's got UV protection and that's got a good barrier against moisture.
And the two buildings next to yours are natural brick, they're not painted.
No, they're,
I'm looking at pictures right now, the upper stories, like your building.
I don't have an upper story.
Well, it's above the canopy. Above the
I'm
windows.
sorry, I'm not following you.
Above the windows.
I
The,
didn't-
this area right here,
Right.
the adjoining buildings on their upper areas are not painted
If you look
either.
carefully at Glick's, look at the front versus the side. The front has been treated.
Yeah, it's different brick.
It's not different brick, it's actually the same
The
brick.
other
I've
one
been
is.
up on the ceiling, I've been up on the roof and went over and looked. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't misstating anything. It's been treated with something.
So,
But it's not blue.
the paint's not part of this application.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in
it
here. The color is in here. He's giving us the color.
Yeah, exactly.
Smoke,
Smoky
Smoky
Aztec.
blue.
Smoky Aztec, I think.
For the brick?
yeah.
Yeah. It's the same color
It's not on the,
as a building one block down. Well, it was in the packet that I had here last month.
it's not on the application, but it's in the packet.
Okay, yeah, we would, as long as that's not included in this application, I think, we can continue talking about it, but that would have to be a separate one, and
Yeah, because that wasn't on the application, the paint part.
Okay. Well,
But it's in the pictures, but not written on the application.
Right.
Okay.
when we say application, is that the certificate for appropriate use?
yes.
I swear I put that in, but maybe I didn't. My apologies.
Well, there's,
The thing that's really sticking me up right now is that I cannot get my building permits until the front, your approval for the front of the building and the stairs that I have to have for fire escape on the back are approved. So I've been waiting for 3 months to begin construction on the interior. My architectural drawings have been done, and you can't give me my certificate until all parts of the building are at least.
The last page of the certificate of appropriateness checklist, he's got, wood will use and painted to match exterior color scheme, assessing cleaning and water repellent treatment for historic masonry buildings. Is that gonna be a colored
That
water?
was the, yes, that was the intent. Yeah, it's the same color as a building that's the opposite side of the street and one block down. I forget the name of it. But that one's gray, a little darker, but it's gray bottom to top. I thought that was a little much.
So it was included in your application,
Okay, thank you. I just wasn't clear apparently.
yeah.
My fault.
Not in the description of the project.
Well,
Neither are the stairs for the back. So I mean, if you wanted us to,
I sent blueprints.
yeah, but it's, I'm looking at your application.
Okay,
And the blueprints are here,
Right.
just a smaller copy. We did get the larger copy, but those were done a week ahead of time. I did give them to them, but we needed a week ahead of time for
Right,
all
I
that to go in
understand,
their
yeah.
packet.
I just want to make sure we know what we're approving.
oh, I understand.
Or not
I
approved.
mean, I'm here, I've been here, I want to do things the right way.
So can you tell me what this is for in your packet?
what are you looking at?
Interior,
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
this then.
Yep,
right. We have support poles that are off to one side in the main hallway, front to back of the building. And to go with the nautical theme, we're gonna wrap them in rope. Apparently, I felt I needed to include that to, I don't know, wet the palate.
So are you asking us to approve the awning, the covering of the brick, the painting of the brick, and the exterior staircases
Yes,
on the back?
the exterior staircase.
Those are the four things you're asking
Yes.
us for today?
Yeah.
I think the only concern I have with what you just read off is I read it more of a water treatment, water repellent or something that's colored rather than it being paint. Is that correct?
No, it does have tint to it, yes.
Okay, but what's its purpose?
The purpose is, like you said, water prevention and UV prevention.
Yeah, that's-
We'll have to retuck some areas because there's a lot of mortar that's gone.
I guess the point I wanted to make is it doesn't sound like he's painting just the paint. It's the water repellent treatment has a tint to it.
Especially down towards the ground. There's marble panels underneath the windows, and then as you get past the windows, there's narrow borders between my building on either side and the next building, and there's brick facade, and all the water has come down and it hasn't gotten behind the marble, so it's just kind of sat on that top of that marble ledge, and those bricks there are pretty.
So now you're bringing up another issue. I'm really concerned that we don't know what we're approving here.
What's the material for this stair system?
That is mild steel, mild carbon steel.
Okay, but, yeah, okay.
It's prefab.
Black or,
It would be or it would be epoxy coated black, yes. That's it's from a company that prefabs them to your specifications, and then they come and install them, and then, they pull the permits, and it's geared more towards factories and commercial.
Are you proposing that it be partly black and partly white and the
No.
door be white? What colors?
No.
be-
No, that picture is not,
Okay, that's what got included with the packet.
I'm sorry.
Because that's what I had at the time to,
Okay.
No, I apologize. There's no deck going along the side of the building. There's just a landing in front of a single door that's replacing a window. Fire rated door with smoke seals and,
And it'll be
Of that.
black to match the windows?
yes.
And the stairs then, and
The stairs are an L, yes, they're an L design. They go down, landing, and then the other landing comes down right next to the landing that I have for my exterior door on the east side.
Okay.
So it eats up a little bit of my parking space, but it meets all the setback requirements.
Teresa, has he applied for a permit for the backside, for the,
No, he is not. He just got the plans.
can't approve anything?
Well,
Not-
I did, when I first talked to Jerry, I said, we don't have the design for the stairs yet because we have a company working on that. Can we submit the drawings for the building and show where the stairway is, but not actually have that drawn out and get the permit so that I can start building on the interior of the building? And then as the stairs get done, that can be reviewed and approved. And he said yes, and then I had my architect submit the plans, and then when I sat down with him to review the plans, he said, unfortunately, I wasn't aware of this, but I can't approve the building permit because the stairs being on the outside are not under my purview, that's under your
Certificate of
purview.
appropriateness, right?
Where does the stairway land?
It lands, it lands right next to the back door. It comes down 7 feet 6 inches landing, and then there's an L coming off the building, and it lands on the right next to the cement landing for the current door.
There looks to be another one going due north towards the Riverwalk, a little section.
Where's that?
Right. This one here, this little one right here, that's on the building right now.
No, what's this?
That's the end of the stairs.
Okay,
It
where
does
does it
come
land in relationship to the Riverwalk?
So it lands about 2 feet before the curb, before the flower bed, before the Riverwalk.
Okay. So 2 feet from the end of the stairs to a curb.
Yes. You can't park there anyway because there's a retaining wall
Yeah.
and I did check, we talked about the setback requirements. Apparently, the setback requirements are different if it's a stairway that is ADA compliant, because I'm having to put this in as a, sort of used handicap refuge, I believe, to get out the back door. It was either that or replumb 16,000 square feet with sprinklers. So that's why we're putting a door on the back for fire, because
For
the
fire.
building is 70 feet deep. I didn't really want to, build a sun deck or anything.
Well, if this were coming before us, and we just had this as a certificate of appropriateness, and we understood it was gonna be black, and this
Yep.
is gonna be functional, I would see no problem with us.
So I had to fill out
Approving
the certificate
that
of
piece.
appropriateness
I don't know.
for this one.
But,
At the bottom of the stairway, you need more than 2 feet.
yes, it's true.
There's, I think it's 36 inches. Because otherwise, you're gonna come off that stairway, trip over the curb.
To be honest, I'm not sure if the 2 feet is the bottom of the stairs or the bottom of the cement that's poured to be the footing of the stairs. I would not say, do I have? I bet
Do you have a
I
site plan that shows
Yeah, I
it?
do, I have an overhead, yes.
Perfect.
Let me pull that up on my phone, sorry.
Yeah, this is just a preliminary drawing.
Wouldn't it be more of the building inspector's role of where it lands in the setbacks rather than us?
Well, I would think so, but
Yeah.
hey, why not bring it up?
I know, I just wanted to make sure we weren't getting,
Well, are we gonna do it now or after he gets it built?
well, I think,
It's not gonna be-
Spends
it's not gonna be-
$25,000 on
It's
a.
not gonna be soon, I can tell you that.
I was just saying that if we approved the looks and,
Yeah.
and then he would have to meet the building code requirements.
Yeah.
For the
And if it isn't 2 foot, it needs more, that's something he's gotta work out with the building official.
That's true.
There's my existing stair, there's the stair. You can see in the shadow the line, that's the curb.
Yeah.
And my property line goes out to the end of the Riverwalk. I'm not really sure how that works, because my original property line's in the water. So I think at some point the city kind of went, hey, let's,
There's either an easement
Yeah.
or something that.
it got leased and people
Right.
got paid and that all happened a long time ago.
So is that enough discussion? Is anybody, would anybody like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we deny the application as it is put together at this point, and would recommend that what comes back is a separate recommendation or a certificate for the balcony, I'm sorry, not the balcony, the awning, and signage as opposed to painting the building. And then a separate certificate of appropriateness.
Signage?
Yeah, instead of painting that, just put up a sign, get a sign approval. And then it's not permanent, it's not damaging.
I think he's,
What?
what I'm getting hung up on is, from what I understand, he's not painting just to paint. He's trying to weatherproof the building with some colored material.
He could put up a colored material and paint that, but there's no reason to paint the brick.
There's hydrozo, which is a clear brick sealer.
It doesn't have to be,
It doesn't have any shine or sheen to
It
it.
does darken the brick considerably, but it doesn't color it, yeah.
Hydrozo doesn't darken.
and it's
No, the-
not a special paint that he has in the packet.
Yeah, the only point I was making is that was more semantics, is, you know, he's not painting just to paint. There's a purpose for it. That's.
But there are other products out there that,
Which is fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
Would it be possible to approve the motion without the painting? If I have to wait another month for the building, I'm gonna lose the tenants that I already have rented to. Because by the time then I get everything built, we're gonna be late fall, early winter.
I'm concerned also about, you brought up something about the marble and doing something with that.
Nope,
It's
not gonna
in the
touch it.
packet. So,
No, I wouldn't wanna touch that.
Have we decided what kind of, are we looking at a replacement in kind?
So what was originally there was something that visually appeared to be basically flat, and it extended the length of the building. If he comes to us with a proposal that is something closely approximating flat and extends across the building, I don't see why we wouldn't approve that.
Was that, how do you feel about,
How do I feel about it? I'm gonna have to put the building up for sale and take a loss, because I can't keep doing this. I had the demo done in December.
How long would it take you to come up with a proposal according to what Angie just mentioned, to present to us
at a special meeting?
and then have a special meeting?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what's that, 3 foot by, what's this, 6 foot?
6
Yeah.
foot deep by.
Yeah, 6 foot, yeah, that's what she,
This is what we originally proposed on the canopy, and I think that it was,
that comes out 6 feet and up 3 feet. But it was, what was it, $35,000?
I could pull.
It
up
was
the
35.
proposal.
And was that because it was a fabric and not a?
No, this is metal, this is,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's what we want to do. I can just, not being rude, but I can do it and more cost effectively, having engineered the parts myself or with an engineer. Right, I understand. I appreciate that, thank you.
That's flatter.
6 foot and 3 foot is, yeah, that's significantly flatter.
Yeah.
we have a motion on the floor. Is there support?
Can you repeat the motion?
Yeah, my original motion was to deny the certificate of appropriateness.
I don't think that's been seconded.
No.
It has not.
That's what I was
So
just
I
asking for.
I will withdraw it.
Okay. Do you have another motion in mind?
Perhaps we would approve a certificate of appropriateness for an awning that was 6 feet wide, 3 feet tall, meeting
80
the
feet
drawings
long.
in the width of the building, and per the drawings submitted, illustrated by Johnson Sign Company during the meeting.
Is there support for that
I'll
motion?
support that.
I think we need to add about sealing the brick.
Let's do that as a separate.
Yes.
Well, the only reason I'm saying, because it was on the certificate.
I don't know that sealing the brick is needed. I think that taking care to make sure that what he's nailing things onto are waterproof and weatherproof is important, but they'll also not really be visible behind a 3 feet
Right.
tall thing.
You'll
So-
you'll see very little of it.
Yeah, so I think, the what happens, what we don't see, in terms of constructing that,
Okay.
should just be done using common sense, I guess.
We have a motion and support. Any more discussion?
It just seems piecemeal together. The whole thing, the whole presentation.
Well, I didn't get any feedback last month. I was just told to come back in a
And,
month.
you know?
Right.
We did ask for drawings.
Right, and I supplied those last month, and I didn't bring them with me today. I haven't been to the store yet today. I was helping a neighbor. I apologize. I should have been more prepared today.
So, if we authorized replacing the awning similar to what you showed us, you could come back at some other point with, if you wanted to seal the bricks or something else?
Yeah, I mean, we can do that separately.
Yeah.
I need to move forward on some front somewhere. Yeah.
Is your biggest concern? Okay.
Robert, what do you need Robert, what do you need for Jerry to get the building,
The last time I talked to him, he said that he thought that the rear, that the
rear, right,
the
the
stairs had to
staircase?
be pre-approved. But
was-
I had moved forward for a month and a half with my architect under the premise from Jerry that it didn't need to be pre-approved, that it could be done in 2 pieces. And then he said he wasn't sure, and he was going to talk to. I
Mark
believe he said
Fetter.
Yeah, the city, is that the city attorney or?
Nope, Mark Fetter, the historian for the museum. And
Right.
Mark sent it to me and said that this needed to go in front of
Okay.
council or in front of the commissioners. And so for them to give you,
Jerry told me that, I can't get an architect's drawing in a week.
right. So for this, you need a certificate of appropriateness for this. And if they were to give that to you today, even though we don't have the application, but we could fill one out, would that help you to at least get started with that for the inside?
That's up to Jerry.
Right now, we
Okay.
have a motion on the floor. Would you mind reading the motion, Laura? Do you have it?
Yep, a motion to approve an awning 6 foot wide, 3 foot tall, spanning the length of the building as shown by a drawing provided by Johnson Sign Company.
Would that be 6 foot deep, not wide?
Yeah.
Deep. And what material are we approving that the awning be made out of?
Metal?
Is it metal or fabric?
Yeah. That's why I changed it to depth.
I know, but that doesn't mean that since we don't really have an application for this awning, I'm asking what are we approving as far as material?
So,
I was just gonna ask him, what material are you proposing for the awning?
The standing seam metal with the appropriate flashings and the 2-inch square stock mild steel welded brackets, 24 inches on center.
I have one more question, sorry.
No problem.
I made the motion. So we've got this now.
Uh-huh.
Are we gonna have this, or are we gonna have this?
This.
Okay.
So what's the bottom
So the bottom will
material?
also be flat.
Yeah, it's a welded triangle. It's
Is there any material covering up the bottom?
I was gonna leave it open if we wanted to string lights in there or.
Every 2 feet, eh?
I know how frustrated you are, but
No, I am.
visualize your concept, and without drawings.
No,
we
I
have
understand that.
Questions.
So what was taken out was something that had a flat surface, so as you were walking under it, you were looking up at a flat ceiling. That's what I'm.
Yes.
Will this have that?
Not currently, no. You would be looking up into the framework.
Into the structure?
Do you want to amend your motion before we vote on it to include that?
Yes.
Okay?
So could the bottom portion of the awning be flat,
It will be
Yeah.
enclosed,
enclosed.
Yeah, the underside, the awning.
underside, yes.
Yeah, we could either do that with the same standing seam, or if we can find soffit material that's that width, we could do it with soffit material, perforated soffit. Yeah,
Does everybody understand the motion that we
Yep.
have for us? Laura, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes,
Commissioner Trucks,
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz,
No,
Vice Chair Quinn,
Yes.
Chair Kenny.
Yes.
so that'll get you a start.
thank you. What do I do about
I'm hoping that
the
you
back building
understand
inspector?
that the composite board material doesn't expand above the awning,
Yeah, the top of the awning would be right at the top of the,
the brick.
right, because the flashing will go over it to help. It's an L-shaped flashing, so it'll be one side on the brick, and then it'll go over the top of the composite material.
So we won't even see the composite material,
why is he even putting the composite material on if he's?
because he thinks,
I've got a giant row, they took out 4 tiers of brick to put these items in.
Why are you putting it on?
Animals could still get in there, I suppose.
we're- just without actual drawings, it's hard to determine what we're approving.
Right.
But, I mean, this up here above the awning, that won't exist, right? We
Correct.
won't see any of this,
Correct.
correct? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just, I mean, I did that in Microsoft Paint as an illustration. The previous packet is the one that had the pictures of the brackets and all the measurements and everything that we had worked out and done.
And you're gonna come back to us some other time to discuss the paint and the other facade work you're doing?
Yeah,
Okay, so I think you just need to get to, with Teresa and just make sure he's got what he needs to get going on the awning.
right.
Do we have enough information to approve the basic design for the back stairs?
I mean, you could do something similar to what you did when I took the awning down. It's gotta be, I think you said I had to come back in 60 days with another design or something. I don't know. I don't know. I got caught with that one because he told me that we could do it separately, and no, we can't.
He didn't apply for a permit to do that one. He just gave us the picture.
We don't have the permit for the,
No,
No, because they gave it to me too late to go into the packet,
Yeah,
and
I just found out on Wednesday of last week that we couldn't do it.
so,
you have a certificate now, an application.
no, I do not from him.
okay.
But that's why I'm saying that I could do the certificate of appropriateness with him to get that started. But with your approval, by looking at what the design is, you could at least give the certificate of appropriateness. But obviously, the building inspector would have to be the one that is ultimately gonna make sure with the safety and the length and where it sits appropriately and everything.
The style
But this,
is what we
the
would
style, the black, right where it is. And it's something that Mark Fetter wanted again, for us to get that organization, that group of us together, that we can look at this ahead of time before it comes to you and take care of this, but we haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Maybe you said you'd be ready to make a motion. I'm not asking, Catherine's asking.
no, that's right. Lee, would you like to make a motion? What's your motion?
Do we approve the fire escape
That we approve the fire escape. Is there support?
as presented?
Support.
Support, yeah.
Any more discussion?
I think there should probably be a roll call for that one,
Yes. A roll call vote, please, Laura.
or a motion, and
Yep, so the motion is to approve the fire escape, design. Just I guess I need the verbiage. I want to make sure I have it.
Restate your motion.
Approve the fire escape design as presented in the Lake Street drawings.
Okay.
And Angie supported that motion.
I did.
So everybody understands what they're voting on? Let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Trucks,
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz, Vice Chair Quinn,
Yes.
Chair Kenny.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like us to discuss about your building today?
All my new emergency exit signs look really nice.
The toy store's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. The photographic gallery is going pretty well.
Good?
They're gonna get some room in the front windows. We're gonna split one of the smaller windows up so that they can have something, because they feel like theirs is offset, because the corridor has to be wider in the back for ADA. And so when you walk in and look down the hall, it's hard to even tell that there's a shop back there, as they remind me frequently. So we're gonna try to get them out front a little bit more. Let's see, was there anything else? I have an artist in the basement that's gonna do a little display, he makes big canvases, like kind of Jackson Pollock-like, but a little more depth. But he's gonna do that on our property, the driveway behind the Riverwalk. But I think that's probably, I gotta go to the police for that.
Inside the
Permit.
building?
No, outside the building, but still on our property. No, inside the building, he'd just be in a huge cement basement.
I'm not understanding you. Are you gonna paint murals out there?
No, he's going to display his works out there.
Display his work out
Yeah,
there.
he wants people going up and down the Riverwalk to see his works.
Okay.
Yep, he'll just need a temporary activity permit.
Yeah.
Teresa, would you make sure you schedule an appointment with Robert to make sure he understands
Yes.
where he's at and what he has to do
Yeah.
to move forward?
Yep.
So we don't run into this situation again.
We want you to move forward. We appreciate what you're doing to the building.
Thank you.
But anything you do to the building will be permanent, and so the community has to live with that within the historic district.
Right.
So we're in this with you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for investing in the downtown and
Yes.
making that building look spectacular.
Right now it doesn't.
Well, no, but-
Right now it looks like it's downtown Gaza Strip, you know.
That
It
will
will.
complement what's downtown.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Next on old business is 141 through 143 Washington Street, the Pacific House, which is, I believe, also known as the Northern Hotel.
Hotel Northern, yeah.
Hotel
Yes.
Northern.
So they have a certificate of appropriateness has expired, and they still have and is not expired the land use permit. I'm just requesting that, could I be allowed to extend the certificate of appropriateness on that building? I did write a letter in support, and they want to move forward with that and the plans. So we're getting drawings and meeting with them.
Are they using the same drawings that they presented for the original certificate of appropriateness?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which we've approved once already.
Right.
Why don't we just reissue it for another year?
Pardon?
Why don't we just reissue it for another year?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Yep.
Move and reissue that certificate of appropriateness for another year.
Support.
We have a motion with support. Any more discussion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Trucks,
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn,
Yes.
Chair Kenny.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 86 Washington Street.
Yes, so as you can see, the Historical District Committee on July 8th of 2020 approved on the second page in the meeting minutes, it says 86 Washington Street, North Channel Brewery Building, COA. Mr. Scola, Yeah, stated a request to amend the original COA for the North Channel Brewery was received from T. T explained that the building's originality and his proposed rehabilitation of the building. He requested the COA change of horizontal metal siding of light stone color over the existing wall with spacers. The motion was by Commissioner Albee, second by Commissioner Greenacre, to approve the certificate of appropriateness with the changes as presented for 86 Washington Street, North Channel Brewery. With a roll call vote, motion passed 4-0. Yes, Albee, Greenacre, Connor, and Trucks. So with this, we've got the new application, wants to continue the work at 86 Washington, and I just wanted to let you know that it was approved and everything that was presented at that time. I know they've started work again, started work without the certificate of appropriateness, so we're here and also in the audience, if you'd like to talk, you're more than welcome to come on up. Sure, come on up. Yeah, just introduce yourself and give us the address.
Hi, John Robles from Capstone Companies out of Grand Haven, talking about 86 Washington.
Yep.
My bad. I, sometime between that application and now, talked to Mark Fetter and got his go-ahead. And we were delayed because there's a TIF on that building, which Thad knows about. So when I went to SHPO at the state, they said, no, you'll violate your TIF, so hold off. So my bad, I wait 2 more years. That 5-year time period with SHPO had expired. I think I'm good to go. So we got our contractor ready on what had been looked at twice, and then got called off the job. So here we are today, and I'm hoping I can get Versatile Fabrication back out there if we can get an approval.
So you're out of Shippo's doghouse?
I was never in their doghouse. They told me no a couple years ago after I talked to Mark, so I waited until that certificate, that 5-year time period, expired to start the work, it expired December of '23.
And what's your timeline? Is just as soon as possible get it done?
As soon as I can get the contract, if we get approval, as soon as I can get the contractor back out there.
Okay.
They're not very happy with me right now, so.
So I'm looking at the original approval, and it was for horizontal metal siding that wasn't corrugated. It was smooth and flat, and I noticed you're putting up vertical siding that is more like a pole barn style corrugated siding.
Correct.
So you've veered a little bit from what was approved in the original application
We
4
did.
years ago.
Based on talking to our architect and looking at different product, that's what we ended up.
I'd like to see what the existing, or the original proposed metal siding was. Because, I mean, if he does that, it's full bar metal siding. It's just not a decorative.
Said it would be a flat finish and will be installed horizontally, the original permit approval.
Okay, I wasn't even aware of the wording.
Because I look at these drawings and, that looks attractive with a wide panel. I could tell that it's probably flush with some type of seamage between where that pole bar metal is just that. Just doesn't seem appealing to me.
So I wasn't on the district
I wasn't either.
commission.
None of us were except for Lee.
Yeah, and so I can see how the drive-it or whatever is up there right now hasn't been great on that old interior wall that's on that side, because that's what it is. It's an interior wall from the building that burnt down in 1985. But the nice smooth finish kind of made sense for what was on the primary side of the building. A smooth surface metal, if done right, yeah, I think I'm kind of getting with you. I don't know that it's horrible. My concern is what you've got up there already on the back is because of the fact that it's corrugated. I'm wondering where the water's going to go, because you're not putting flashing at the top of it. So there's going to be these cute little drainage things coming down, and I don't know that that's gonna be good for the back of your building. I did go over and look at it the
Yeah,
other day.
I was
I
hoping you guys would.
what it looked like.
All I can say to that, I'm not a contractor like Ed, or I have talked to my primary contractor, which he built out a couple units, I think, after you built a couple for us. And my primary concern for the tenants there was the water, because we have had problems with that. And there's been the deterioration, and there's some wind leaks. So my primary reason for doing this was to try to improve those situations for the tenant. I mean, at this point, I could walk away and just say, let that north wall be what it is, I suppose. I don't want to do that. I've been promising the brewery we would take care of this when we could, and we've been trying for some time. As in terms of what T had approved, I don't believe he had any, I don't know what the date is on those CDS plans. But I don't believe T ever had, TFX ever had any other plans done than what we would have had with CDS. So I'm not sure how the wording from flat to, I'm not sure where that got misinterpreted, but, or changed, but that is the only plan that I've ever seen us come up with for that building. So there was never an intention to change anything from what we were originally trying to do.
And I guess just let me ask a follow-up dumb question. Yellowy white versus just a darker color that would not be as obvious? I don't know if you were given guidance on the color.
Well, I think that's one thing I did talk to Mark about a few years back, and was the color, because I thought that was probably a primary concern. I didn't know the texture or the
Okay.
type of product, but, and I kind of follow the guide of my architect that has put
Okay.
together.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more curiosity on my part than anything, so, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Mhm.
I confess that I have no real recollection of the discussion going back to 4 years. I don't remember the nature of the discussion.
So John, you're looking at to go vertically rather than horizontally? Okay. And what color was it?
Is it like a light sand, I think it was called?
It's also smooth, right now.
Yeah, I'm just, what he's intending to do now, wants to do.
Just like you would see on the back, because the back is done.
No, what he wants to do now is vertical, not horizontal.
Right, that's what I was just
That's
trying
what I
to.
thought you said.
Yeah, yeah. He wants to do vertical instead of the horizontal,
And it's corrugated, like garden sided.
similar to what you have on the back.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, what's there?
Are there any other options that you see to rehabilitate that wall or those 3 walls?
I tasked Kevin at CDS to try to come up with the best option he could, given the deterioration of that wall. And short of taking it down.
Yeah, since it is a wall from the building that was next door, it's an odd thing anyway, you know, it's not, it's helping to hold your wall up, but it's not really your wall. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And those are always challenging, you know, whenever that happens, so, I can see the reason to need to do something.
It probably should have been knocked down and taken out to begin with.
Sometimes it's hard to do that, though. I mean, when they're built
Right.
butted up against each other, they provide support for each other.
So, Lee, do you remember when the museum redid the backside of the wall of the museum building? And they put up brick panels that matched the rest of the brick. Would that be an option?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Ed?
What's that now?
the brick panels on the back of the museum building, when they renovated the museum building.
Yeah, Kinder Thompson did that work, I believe, but I don't remember what it was.
It looks like panels of brick.
Yeah.
It's actual brick, but it's only about maybe a 1/4 inch thick.
Yeah, I don't think his surface is as smooth as what the museum was, though. Because his surface is pretty beat up.
You think something simpler to use that?
And-
Probably.
Right,
It was on the-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
And so the condition of the wall,
I would think so.
Would-
It would
would
reflect out.
yeah, is
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
a limiting factor in what you can use to
Yeah.
cover it.
Well, when I drove around the rear side of the building, I noticed exactly what Catherine said about the flash, or maybe you, about the flashing at the top. There's gonna be water coming down the back side of it. It's gonna deteriorate behind
Right.
Right.
the metal is the way it's installed right now. So there's really need to be something there
Yes.
diverting that.
Some sort of trim piece.
And I know that
cap,
doesn't get
something.
into historic renovations, but
But
it just.
we want
it's-
to preserve the building.
Right, and it isn't gonna do that.
John, is that a big issue, is putting some kind of a,
No, I'm glad you pointed it out.
yeah,
Proper.
The other option is going back with the horizontal, placement as opposed to vertical, and then you don't have the water coming in.
it just would still have it pooling at the top, probably.
No, they'll probably get flashing of some sort.
Well, that-
I'd love to see what they were proposing originally, the flat 16-inch wide panels, What was that? I can't read the writing because I'm 60, but,
Yeah, it is a little small.
but, I would like to see maybe a sample of that. I mean, because if we approve something like this, could I throw that on my building, and would you want to see that?
I
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
I sure the hell
understand that. I understand that.
Yeah.
So,
But can he use, is he limited in his choice of materials because of the deterioration on the wall? That's
well, I
my,
think so. I think there's certainly a challenge, but.
right.
Yeah, there's parts of that building that won't accept the channel that you need to adhere this to.
Right.
So there's all sorts of, and that's.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a contractor, but now it's been a few years since I've been through this discussion, but the options were quite limited.
I would like to see a different option than the pole barn siding on our historic buildings.
I'd like to see something that isn't gonna cause water to infiltrate behind.
I can talk to him about that. We can reflash it, caulk it, whatever.
And have you bought all of it already? Because I hate the color.
I'm sure he has.
I'm sure you have, yeah.
I didn't want to answer that out loud, but yeah.
No, it's okay. It should basically kind of blend in, and right now it's a bright, it's a very contrasting color, as was the wall itself, and I'm not quite sure what the thinking was with that, but,
Could I say something, please? What I see and stuff like this, I'm not even aware of. And then all of a sudden it comes to head, and now he had something approved. I know all these other things happen, but at one point it was approved. Do we go back, or do we say it was approved before, we have the minutes, here it is, let's let him finish this project, get it done, move to the next? That's all
The
I'm,
issue is, Teresa, is that I don't think he's putting up what was
He's
approved.
not doing what was
You
approved.
see? So
Okay.
he's using a different metal profile and a different metal panel
okay,
than what's been installed. And I
All
think
right.
that's more of the
that's
issue
the
than.
Yeah,
concern,
yeah.
because what's going up, we don't think is good for the structure.
okay.
Well, it's not consistent with what was approved.
Which one
Which was approved, okay. There's gonna be more, I think, things coming ahead. I'm finding out a lot of things that are surprising me, and it's like, yeah.
What would happen if we reissued the original certificate of approval with the original materials and the original sign.
I don't think we could contest it, could we? If it was approved back in.
Well, it's all expired, but,
It's expired, but
but couldn't we,
I guess it's
could we,
expired.
could we approve it to what it was before? Let them know, these are the things that you found wrong.
What would that do to you if you did that?
I'm not sure.
It's attached to the original certificate, the scope of work. So I guess what the commissioners are saying, if you were to
I get what they're saying.
do the scope of work, then it's likely that you would get a motion today.
So,
And we really haven't been presented with any other scope of work.
no.
No.
Yeah,
let me understand, is the west wall historical? So anything that's done on that building?
So you're in the historic district, so what's done on either of, any of your public, that the public can see? So basically all four of your walls. There should be a historic commission review of work that you're doing,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I was told for a long time that the west wall was not an issue. The only thing that I would need approval for would be the north wall, because the west wall was underground, if you remember. We excavated 12 feet of that. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, that was basically that grade.
Oh, yeah, that's
It was
right.
underground. So,
Before my time, sorry.
That's right, it was, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I have a hard time remembering this, it's been so long ago, but, so I was always told the only thing that I would need approval for was the north wall.
And I think you got that approval back in 2020.
Well, I talked to, it wasn't T that came up here, I talked to Mark and found him at the museum, I believe, and talked through about doing that north wall. And I thought I was good, so I called SHPO and they said, no, you're gonna violate your TIF, so we waited.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been done 2 years ago.
Sure.
however, if it violates SHPO, it really is not part of the mission of the historic district.
It didn't violate SHPO, it violated our TIF. We had to wait 5 years before we could make improvements
Right.
to that wall from the original construction. They didn't say no to the product or no to the look.
Okay.
It would have violated our TIF.
I still think that even though the part of the building on the north end that you're trying to cover with this material was excavated, it's still part of the exterior historic aspect of this beautiful building that,
And I have no recollection how the HDC approved the other wall with the metal on it. I have no idea.
so the north wall, if you leave that as is, and then go with your original 2020 certificate of appropriateness, then you're going to have 4 different types of material on the exterior of this building. The original brick,
Right.
the corrugated aluminum, and then, no, 3 different types. Then the originally approved exterior covering. Is that correct?
Yeah, but when we approve a certificate of appropriateness, we're approving the work that's done for us. We're not also approving work that hasn't come before us. So, I mean, if there are no changes to the front of the building or the south side of the building, we're not really weighing in on that right now. We're only weighing in on the application that's before us.
So you're only doing the north and the west side of the building, not the south?
Correct.
Okay, so the south side of the building has that stucco skim coat on it, is that correct? In that ivory color, which is probably why they want it.
Yeah, I don't know why they approved it, but they've approved it, so I'm not gonna argue.
Okay.
Going forward, let's.
I think we were trying to stay consistent with the color.
Yeah. So Lee, did you make a motion?
I did not.
He just inquired,
About whether we could.
yeah,
Again, extend the
to extend the original
original
certificate,
application.
Yeah.
which is not the same material that you're currently using, though.
But
I would take that.
I would support that
I would too.
Okay? Any more discussion? Laura, did you get the motion?
To extend the original certificate of appropriateness.
Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Trucks,
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn,
Yes.
Chair Kenny.
Yes. Thank you.
I've lost my agenda.
Do we have any public comment and communication concerning items not on the agenda today? Anybody? Teresa, have we received any correspondence?
No, not at this time.
And the museum director is not here today to give us a report. So let's move on to the community development director, planning and zoning administrator. You're on, Teresa.
So myself and Catherine went to the Business Connect. We were both a guest speaker. Business Connect is a morning meeting, 8:30 in the morning with the area chamber of commerce, and they put that on. We had about 30, 40 people attend. It was very, very busy. The big interest for my aspect was signage, so I brought about a dozen copies of all the criteria about signs, and they took it all. They took all my business cards. I got emails, and everybody's been vigilant about what should be done, what can't be done. You know, I'd like to do this, like to do that. So it was very positive, very good. And so I was happy to do that. Yep, well, and you did a wonderful job too. They appreciated both of us being there. So Catherine told just a little bit about what we do here and what goes on, so. So, we need to talk one more time about the forming a committee for the approval of the certificate of appropriateness. I did go ahead and give you a chapter of the bylaws. In the bylaws, it does not say anything about that we cannot. We can form a committee. With that, I did figure that we would, of course, have Mark Fetter, myself. I'd like one member of the commission, possibly a business member, and maybe somebody from the chamber. So that would be 5 people. Just that we email things out to them ahead of time, have them review it. I don't know if that's something that we want to put in and put together.
And the intent would be they would approve what they could approve?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, or if they couldn't come to an agreement or thinks that it still needs to come to council. So for example, you know, a building getting painted. So it's not just on Mark Fetter to do all the research. I mean, obviously he would be helping, but it's just doesn't fall on just him, one person. It would fall kind of on a committee and they would have to justify. Excuse me.
So, and the goal of the committee would be, they would not have to wait for the commission.
Right, I understand
Right.
that, yeah.
So
Yep.
they meet within 5 days or so.
Yep, and I would just email everything out. We wouldn't really have to meet. If we needed to, we just correspond through emails. Or if, like I said, if it got too accelerated or too many questions, we'd bring it and we'd just say that we're gonna refer this to go to the commission.
And for right now, these are things that basically we've given Mark the
Mark.
ability
Yes.
to approve those certificates. And
Yep.
these are things like paint colors. and
Yes,
stuff
it'd be
like that.
paint colors, signs, yes.
Right.
Yep,
So, yeah, I think adding some more people to the process, add some more skill sets.
okay.
This is slightly related, but does the city have a policy on something like email voting?
Committee can't
Probably,
I don't think,
Committee can't vote anyway.
yeah.
I think just
Committee can
recommend for approval and then maybe,
but I,
This is just related to things like when you've got time constraints, like our previous, what they was talking about, whether we
Right.
could
You have to,
have an email so that people wouldn't have to wait a month or have a special meeting.
my understanding, your approvals or actions of this committee has to be done in a public forum.
Forum, yes, we'd have to have a special meeting,
Yeah.
right.
And
But
the
it-
committee guidelines would not allow them to prove anything that is beyond the guidelines that are already set forth for the Historic District Commission.
And we would probably have to put an excerpt in the bylaws for the committee. We would do that.
Do you
So-
need a motion?
I think so, yeah,
Would anybody like to entertain a motion in that
To-
regard?
form the committee.
Are you talking about
Forming
this
a,
particular committee or amending the bylaws to allow the formation of committees?
probably amending the bylaws to have a,
I move we allow the bylaws to allow, we
Formation of the committee?
Amend the bylaws.
amend the bylaws to allow the committees.
For
of the
approval.
commission.
Yeah, for approval of certificate of appropriateness.
Is there support?
Support.
Roll call vote, please.
Who supported?
Thad.
Thad supported.
Speak up.
Would you like to read the motion when you're
Yeah.
ready, please?
To amend the bylaws to allow for the formation of a committee to approve certificates of appropriateness. Okay, Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Trucks,
Yes.
Commissioner Kriskowitz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn,
Yes.
Chair Kenny.
Yes.
And Teresa, is
Yep.
it safe to assume that you'll bring back a proposed, how you're gonna populate that committee at the next meeting?
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
So we can
absolutely.
take formal action?
Yep,
Thank
action
you.
for it, correct.
And can we give that committee some guidelines as to approval of,
Yeah, we have what the guidelines are. Yep, absolutely.
good.
The question
So, good
that I have
question.
At this point is that the city council has to approve the changes in the
Bylaws.
Yeah,
Yep.
So that would have to be done previous to the appointment of the committee.
Yes, it would, you're right.
well, I don't know necessarily about the appointment, but before the committee could take any actions on behalf of the commission.
Yeah,
I think we would have the authority to populate the committee.
It would have no effect until the city council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
yep. So right now, I would just continue with Mark, and then if Mark doesn't feel, then I would bring it to you, all of you, so. Then,
Some plausible deniability?
Basically,
yeah. Yes. Next, you've got the permit list in front of you here. So I just want to quickly just go over a couple of these. At the very top, 141 Washington, they need to renew the permit that is expired. That's all I know for right now. I have not looked any further into that one. 312 River, the Bluefish, never got a dumpster enclosure. They need to apply. Joseph Matheson, we talked about that one, and then John Faber was the patio, or I mean the outsider, so that one to renew. The other ones I've just not had the time to, or we're kind of working in the background with building inspector on some of those, so that's where we're at right now. If they are completed, I've just dropped them off the list. These are the ones that are still in progress or expired,
Very good.
but don't
Thank
have
you.
work done. All right, next is chapter 1280, that should be right there in front of you. This put with your binder that I created for you a couple months ago. So in with this, the reason I am bringing this to your attention is I've had a couple people come to me, businesses that said, you know what if I just don't feel like coming to you guys and I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do? Well, this just gives us all of the statement of purpose, and the last page that I want to read to you is page 8. And it just says penalties for violation. Whoever violates any provision of this chapter is guilty of a civil infraction in accordance with the section. And that's what I've told each one of them. So they do need to come to the historical district. So you have that to review. The bylaws, printed those, and then also, city council has approved that I get an assistant. We've gotten over 30 applications, so if you know anybody that would like to apply to be an administrative assistant in my department to help myself and the building inspector, it's 20 hours a week, part-time, and so they could just apply on the city website.
That's a
all
lot
I
of
have.
applications.
Yes, it is. Yep, and we have it open until June 13th. So, yep,
Great.
That's a
yep.
Anything else, Teresa?
Nope, that is it.
Okay,
Did you have
moving
anything
on.
else for me?
To member discussion, do any of the members have anything?
Discussed out. Much.
Okay, anybody else?
I'd just revisit the River Street Market. You know, I am glad that he's doing something. Don't get me wrong. However, you know, when he said perforated soffit material underneath there, it's gonna end up blowing off and going down the street. It just seems like we're gonna end up, he's gonna install something and we're not gonna be happy, and then we're gonna be upset with ourselves because we didn't have them go through the proper chambers and provide us the proper
Drawings and,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we just don't, I mean, even the LP siding, I agree with him, the LP siding is a great product. I use it on multi-million-dollar houses that I build. However, he didn't outline what type of siding, you know, there's all kinds of, there's board and batten, there's
Yeah.
horizontal, there's, you know, shiplap, there's beadboard, and, you know, nothing's defined. And, you know, I just don't think he's organized, and
This has been kind of a cluster from.
it seems like a cluster, and
You know, he got some bad information from the building inspector, that's one thing, and, you know, and I could sense the utter frustration from him.
Yeah,
of,
I do too.
I'm trying to do something, and that's why I was a little receptive to, let's get him going.
No, I get it, but, you know, when he puts up that aluminum perforated ceiling, I don't want to hear it from you guys, that it looks like shit. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear it.
We did kind of leave the material up to him. We didn't say that
I
material.
know, and we
but-
shouldn't.
Well,
which is why we should have drawings with specifications
Exactly.
and material list and, you know.
Teresa, if you could, when when people come in, make sure you drop the hammer on them and tell them, we need this, 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 and this, so we don't run into this problem in the future. This just, because it's, personally for me, it's hard to have to tell somebody that was really trying to make a difference in our downtown
Yeah.
to
No,
crank it back.
I think
You know-
Teresa and her, she has been telling him, he has refused to provide it.
Okay, he's not a good listener?
it's not.
No.
Okay.
Well, he called my office to get some drawings done, you know, probably December, I would guess. And
Should we close the meeting? Are we finished with the meeting?
Yeah,
Are we still in open discussion?
Well,
Or-
I have some more open discussion.
There's more open discussion to
Okay,
be had.
all right.
But anyway, it just seemed like, you know, I said, well, when would you like to get started? He goes, well, I've already started. And I'm like, well, you know, it just, I don't know.
beyond taking down the awning? Has he done anything besides that?
Oh,
Well,
yes, the
interior.
whole interior
He had a red
without
tag.
permits.
Right, but that's not in our purview.
Right, I know that, but it's
You know,
Yeah.
been several things.
Lee?
I would just like to commend Madeline on presenting that to us. You
Yes.
know, in my experience on the historical commission, the previous owners were not sympathetic to the historic district commission at all, and did not come forward with good drawings for us on virtually any occasion,
Yep.
and did not understand the concept of the signage in the historic district. And what I got from Madeline is she does, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Madeline.
Well, she understands that she wants to work with us. We want to work with her, so.
We understand people have to have signs, and also, I mean, we're familiar with what signs used to be. I've seen old pictures of the jackpot with signs all over the place. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Sold. Sold too.
All in favor?
Aye, aye, aye.
Thank you, everybody.